You're watching PEGRI TV, Rhode Island's public access channel.
Good evening, I'm Bill Mulholland, and welcome to Good Sports Classics. Tonight, we will take a deep dive into the 1987 Central Falls High School schoolboy basketball team that chalked up a 15-1 Class C mark and a 24-4 overall record en route to capturing the Class C state championship. My guests are head coach of the 1987 champs, Ed McVeigh, and his 6'4" center, Joe Handy. Ed played his high school basketball at Cumberland, graduated from Bryant College in 1977 with a BS in education, taught business at Central Falls High from 1977 to 2005, coached the CF girls hoops team from 1978 to 1980, and coached the boys from 1986 to 2005. Ed is a member of the Central Falls High School Athletic Hall of Fame. Joe Handy was the MVP of the 1987 Cumberland-Lincoln Boys and Girls Club's Holiday Basketball Tournament, selected to the 1987 Pawtucket Times All-Valley and All-Division First teams, coached the Central Falls Girls Quintet to the 2009 D3 state title, and this past season made a Central Falls schoolboy coaching debut and leading the Warriors to the Class C playoffs. Like his coach, Ed McVeigh, Joe is a member of the Central Falls Athletic Hall of Fame. Welcome to Good Sports, Ed and Joe.
Thanks for having us, Bill.
Good to have you guys. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. This should be fun. So we have a photo of the 1987 Central Falls Championship team. So Ed and Joe, what I want you to do, I want you to give a scouting report on each of the players. We good for that?
Sure.
All right, so kneeling left to right are the co-captains. On the left is 6'3", 175-pound Jeff Dizitel.
I'd say Jeff was probably, he was our best long-range shooter.
What class and what position?
He was a junior forward.
Okay.
6'3", quick, he could jump. And he gave us, there was no three-point shot back then, but we could still spread the floor with Jeff out there because he could hit the outside shot and he could drive it to the basket.
All right. From a player's perspective, Joe?
Jeff was my co-captain along with me, and he helped me control the boards. We did most of the rebounding on our team. Jeff was a smart player. He always seemed to be in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
And probably our best defensive player as well.
All right. And so with co-captains, usually there's a good cop and a bad cop type thing. So what was the interplay in your roles as far as co-captains with Jeff?
Jeff was very mild. Jeff wasn't verbal. He was very,
play the game, played it hard, and played by example, right?
And I knew that coaching was in my blood because I always had that ability to voice my concerns, kind of reiterate what Coach was saying, that sort of thing. But yeah.
All right. And then next to Jeff was your 6'4", 170-pound center, Joe Handy.
Joe was the rock of the team. We knew that Joe was going to be our leader from the get-go.
How so?
Well, I had seen him play back when I was a JV coach, and I knew that Joe had the same goals that we had, that, we really, really wanted to win that state championship that year. And I know Joe was going to be the guy that was going to lead us. That's why, we had him and Jeff as the co-captains. I knew he was like having an extra coach out on the floor.
Okay. And how about his assets as a player?
Well, I mean, that just speaks for itself, just the way that he played. I mean, on both ends of the floor. Joe could rebound, he could intimidate on defense, and once he got the ball down low, it was very difficult to stop.
All right, and did he get most of his points inside, or did he have a nice 15-foot jumper? How was he at the free throw line?
He had a decent mid-range jumper. We didn't really want him shooting the ball too much from the outside because he was he was way too strong, too powerful inside.
Yeah. And what did it mean to you this year? Joe goes over and takes over the job that you had for probably 20 years. What did that mean to you once you heard that Joe received that coaching stint?
I thought that was one of the greatest things that could have happened to Central Falls basketball program. I'm very proud of Joe and what he's done and what he's accomplished, with the girls. And I just it was a natural progression for him. And I'm just really glad that he's back at Central Falls where he belongs.
All right, I love that stuff where you go back to your alma mater and go over and coach. All right, so now standing left to right, on the far left is assistant coach Kevin Ornazian.
I don't think we could have accomplished everything that we did without having a good assistant coach like Kevin.
Okay.
He understood everything that I wanted him to do. If I told Kevin to do something, Kevin got it done. And we worked really well together. And, I kiddingly say that he was always the best dressed assistant coach in the state of Rhode Island.
Oh, that's
I don't think anyone would dispute that.
Suit
and tie all the time.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
And what was your opinion of the assistant coach there, Joe? Was he someone that you could go and talk to? A lot younger, I guess, right? Was he younger than you at that point in
He's
time,
the
Ed?
exact same age as me.
Oh, okay.
Kevin was, I felt he was more of he was the verbal disciplinary guy, so we knew when Coach Ed said something, we listened. Coach Ornazian would act, and he would enforce a lot of the running, that sort of thing. If we slipped out of line, things like that. He was someone we could go talk to. He was always willing to listen, but he always had that sense of humor. So you were getting like, somebody you could trust.
Good. All right. And next to the assistant coach is 5'8", 150-pound Jerry Munoz.
Jerry was by far the fastest kid we had on the team. He's a great soccer player. He's also a very good basketball player and a very intelligent player.
And position and year?
He was a junior, basically backup point guard, to Pucci.
Okay. Joe?
Yeah, Jerry was he was fire when he came off the bench. He gave us a lot of good minutes defensively. Didn't look to score often, but he could. Again, like I said, he was like Coach said, he's a backup guard. So his playing time came when Pucci wasn't in the lineup or Cece wasn't playing, and he always did a very good job. Always worked hard. Because
you guys had that strong six there, Ed, right? I mean,
Correct.
Those your usual starting five, depending on who's not showing up for the game, and then with Cece coming in. So next to Munoz was 6'2", 160-pound Paul Poulin.
Paul Poulin's a guy that I think a lot of times get overlooked. But without him, I don't think we could have accomplished what we did in that year. He's a quiet kid, barely would, say anything. But he'd just go out there, he'd play defense, he'd rebound. He could score if he wanted to and if we needed him to.
Yeah, he had a big game during
He was like a perfect complementary player. Because we had plenty of scorers on that team.
Yeah, and was he more the small forward to Disitel's power forward, would you say?
I guess you could call it that, but Paul's a very good rebounder.
Okay. And Joe, you played center at that point in time. You had Disitel on one side, Poulin on the other side. How did you guys what combinations did you use in order to defense and the rest?
Paul was, like you said, Paul was a smart player. Paul boxed out. He worked hard. Again, he wasn't as tall as Jeff and myself, but he was effective. Again, like Coach Ed said, he was underrated. He just did the little things right.
Yeah. Where would he get his points? Inside again?
Paul was talented. I mean, we actually had to talk Paul into coming out for the team. Paul was good. We played out in the playgrounds. He was a great player, and we'd ask him to come play with us. And in an offensive-minded setting, Paul just fit in perfectly.
Paul could get 20 points at the end of a game sometimes. You look at the scorebook, he's got 20, and you just say, where did they come from?
A quiet 20 is what they call it, right?
Yeah.
All right, and so next is your six-man coming off the bench, or when you need another starting guard, is 6'1", 165 pounds, Cece Sousa.
I would say that CC probably would have started for just about any other team.
What year is he?
In the state, he was a junior.
Okay.
But unfortunately, he was behind Pucci. But he gave us like the six-man role. We knew when we put CCN, you're basically playing another starter.
Sure. Joe?
Exactly what he said. He was our sixth man, but he was contributing every single game, defensively and offensively. He'd always get his own. We used to joke about it. He'd always get his own little paragraph because he'd always chip in with 15 points and 8 assists or 6 assists. When asked upon.
Yeah.
He was a good. Definitely
Was he
good
more
player.
of a point guard or a shooting guard, would you say?
I believe he was our first backup to Pucci Nunez.
Okay.
CC came out, could run the offense also. He was good in transition. We ran the ball quite a bit, and he really helped us with that when he came in the game. He sped things up.
All right, and so the next is 6'1", 175-pound reserve, Steve Afonso.
Steve was one of our subs. I wouldn't say he played all that much, but without guys like him during practice, he wouldn't be able to push guys, like Joe and Jeff and Paul.
Sure,
down
that's
low.
what you need.
Yeah, he had some bulk on him. He was strong.
Okay.
Yeah, Steve gave us really good minutes when he got out there. Again, because of the fact that our games, we didn't play the fourth quarters, so a lot of the guys would get their playing time in the fourth quarter. But yeah, and definitely in practice, he would push me. He was a big kid. We played every day together. So it was always good to know that you had somebody pushing you at practice, like Coach Ed said.
Yeah, well, now, next to him is 6'4", 165-pound Dave Kingsley. So there's another big man that you had. You had 9 guys over 6 feet tall in the 1986-87. I mean, I was looking at that, saying every guy, so that was unbelievable what you had out there, Ed, as far as height.
I mean, he was 6'4", and he was lanky, and he was a little on the skinny side, but he gave us a good backup option at center.
Sure. Yep, and he would push you a little bit during the practices?
Yeah, well, so the second team had 2 6'4" guys, and then Steve, like we just mentioned. So yeah, I was, they worked me. He'd have them work me underneath. David was, he was the fun guy on the team.
Yeah.
But he was also very effective on JV. He was averaging over 20 points a game. And again, he didn't get a lot of playing time because our starting 6 was pretty strong. But again, Dave could have played for anybody in the state and get a lot of playing time.
All right, next is another reserve, another tall one, 6'3", 180 pounds, George Martinley.
George Mardelli. Yep.
Mardelli, thank you.
George almost the same size as
Kingsley?
Dave, but George is a little bigger and a little stronger.
Yeah?
I didn't move quite as well, but George could take up some space in the middle, and again, he's good at pushing Joe during practice. He's just a big body out there.
Yes, you did. Yes, absolutely. 6'2", 170-pound, your starting point guard, Israel Pucci Nunez.
Pucci was he's a special guy in a lot of ways. Back then you didn't have point guards that were, really
that big.
That big.
Right.
And could do the things that he could.
A lot of them mostly were centers back at that point in time in the Valley.
And, he could handle the ball, he could pass the ball, he could shoot the ball. He could come at you from a lot of different angles.
He was a special player.
Yeah.
No doubt. He's one of the better point guards that come out of Central Falls for sure. He was a talent. I probably blew more of his assists than he's recorded. But yeah, he's hit me. He used to hit us with some nice passes. He brought a little bit of swagger into the game.
You need that.
In the 87 series. Yeah, definitely.
As long as Coach can control that swagger at times there, right, Coach?
That was a challenge.
Yeah, I bet it was. Another reserve, 5'10", 160-pound, Mike Ison.
Mike didn't play too much for us. I don't think he finished out the season, but.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. 5'10", another reserve, 165-pound, James Dunbar.
He was a tough kid. Left-handed, I believe, right?
Yep.
Nothing wrong with lefties, right?
Yep. Again, he was a guard. He was great ball handling skills. Probably one of the best ball handling skill play we had, but he didn't get a lot of playing time because we, with Pucci, CC, and Jerry, and the guard situation. Yeah.
And at the very end of the team photo is head coach Ed McVeigh. Joe, your turn.
I had Ed as a freshman coach. He was my JV coach. Loved playing for him. I believe you were coaching at that time, and you left my freshman year. When he came back my senior year, he knew what he had. He knew it was being left to him, and he ran with it. I mean, he put his heart into it. He listened to us. We requested early morning practices. He was all for it. Yeah, no, it was a special time knowing that he was coming in.
And how different is it that you have a head coach who is also a teacher in the school? I mean, that must have been important for you, right? I mean, he knew exactly where you were, whether you showed up for school or not, right?
Well, that was the thing. We had both of our coaches were in the school system. They're both teachers. And, yeah, you didn't walk down the hallway without them getting a phone call.
Oh, Kevin was also?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, and they were actually in different sides of the building. So if, you got caught in the wrong spot, they'd hear it right away, and you'd hear about it at practice. So, yeah, it was a quick communication line for sure.
Good. And finally, missing from the photo is 6 foot, 180-pound John Santos. Surprising that he's missing from the photo?
Not at all. John was, I guess you could call him an enigma.
Okay.
I don't know if that word would fit, but John sometimes marched to the beat of a different drummer. But as tough as nails. When John was coming at you, if he was playing defense on you, you're in for a rough night.
Yeah.
You're going to get bounced around a little bit. John's going to be all over you.
And he was scoring in double figures also. So from the outside, inside, or whatever?
Well, John didn't see many shots he didn't like.
Okay.
I was gonna,
is that right? Yeah. All right.
John was our muscle. John was a very strong football player, very muscular. He did a lot of brunt work for us. We could put him on just about anybody defensively. Yeah. Like Ed said, he did take his number of shots to get those 10 points. So he liked to shoot.
Well, I saw a couple of pictures of him in the Times. I mean, he looked like a man. All right. I mean, he really did. He had the beard, didn't he? Yes. Yeah. I'm saying, who is this guy?
An imposing-looking player out there.
I bet. Now, Ed, you inherited the 1986 C2 co-champions for your interscholastic schoolboy coaching debut. So what were your expectations of the team? And talk about some of the difficulties you had to deal with regarding incorporating your new rules to the players.
Well, I mean, right off the bat, I made it perfectly clear that anything less than a state championship that year was going to be a disappointment for us. Because I had the faith and I knew the talent that we had. It was just a matter of we had to go out there and we had to do it. And they had to understand that this is our goal for that year. That's why, with Joe as our captain, I knew he understood that. And we just needed to get everybody on the same page. But the one thing that we needed to change was the image.
What do you mean, image?
Central Falls had, back then it was
1980s, yeah, that was
1980s. Everybody had a different opinion about the city of Central Falls.
And none of it was good.
And none of it was any good.
We're just being honest here.
I decided that, we're going to change our image. Not just the way that we play, but the way that we look when we,
How so?
When we get off the bus. Well, I decided, but the boys didn't really agree with it too much at first. But I decided, we're going to have our own little dress policy.
Yeah.
And I went out and I purchased them all these lovely, beautiful red sweaters. And, it said Central Falls basketball on it. And they had to wear that red sweater. They had to wear a shirt, a tie, a pair of dress pants, and a nice pair of shoes. Or else they weren't going to come to the games with us.
To the, just the away games?
Just the away games.
Yeah?
Yeah, I didn't make them wear that to the home game. I thought that might have been pushing it.
Yeah, okay.
But, we wanted to present a totally different image when we got to another school. And so that's what we did. And
this is the original,
that's one of the originals.
And so you got 12 guys walking in with these, you can't tell, but very bright red shirts. And we'll get your opinion on this later on. All right. And so that was important for the image. What was your coaching philosophy, Ed?
Well, I knew these kids were some of the quickest kids I had seen. So I wanted to, up-tempo the game as much as I could. We were going to press. Our defense was going to be all over the floor. So we worked at that, and we wanted a fast break. Because, we were in great shape. I made sure these kids were in the best shape of their lives.
How'd you do that?
And, we had certain drills. We had stairwells that we'd run. We had certain running drill suicides here and there. And I knew we were in much better shape than most of the other teams. So by the third quarter, definitely by the fourth quarter, the other teams are worn down. And we're still ready to go. And you can really see it in the scores. How
absolutely.
By then, we put our foot down on the pedal and we're just going to take off.
Yeah. And so you did something regarding your rules. So there's one thing to go over and tell the guys the rules, or the boys at that point in time. but it's another thing to go over and have a signed contract. I have never heard that in 483 shows with all the coaches I never do. So tell me about the signed contract.
I thought it was a great idea. You know, I'm a business teacher, so I'm familiar with contracts. So I said, I'm going to write up a list of things that, you know, the rules that you're going to follow if you want to be on this team. You know, and if you violate the rules, then, you know, you're either going to be suspended or you're going to be dismissed from the team.
And you just show them the contract with his signature,
you know,
right?
and everybody had to sign it. It didn't matter whether you were the best player on the team or you were the worst player on the team. Everybody had to live by that contract.
Okay.
And, you know, on the times when things did come up, and they did.
Yes, they did.
You know, we were just going to the file, we'd pull out the contract and show it to them, and they had to agree with us.
Yeah. All right. Now, Joe, you just heard what Coach McVeigh had to say about the new Warrior image, the rules contract, and the away apparel. Give our Good Sports audience a player's perspective on that.
Well, the ties and the shirts came in first, and we were okay with it. And then these bright red sweaters came in, and
You were not okay with it, right?
well, we had no choice to be okay with it, but it was wow. It was like they jumped out at you. They were obviously you can see they're very bright.
Yes.
And so it was a little getting used to. And if you didn't wear your shirt, you didn't play.
Okay.
If you didn't wear that sweater to a game, you weren't going to play.
You weren't getting on the bus, right?
Yeah. So there, and then you know the next practice you're probably going to be running stairwells for not wearing your sweater.
All right.
So yeah, it was something. It was his philosophy was the way we were going with it, and we had to follow through on it. Again, like I said, we weren't happy about the sweaters. I don't think there was one person on the team that was happy about the sweaters, but we did it. You know.
Right. And how about the signed contract?
It was different. Yeah, it was different for us. Yeah, we had to really make sure that we did what we were supposed to do. And I mean, that was his point. His point was, hey, listen, you're going to do the right things while you're in school. Yeah. You're going to make sure you're doing the right things on and off the court.
I thought it was important to make them responsible.
It was, I've always said, for all the coaches, especially in high school, you got to teach them life lessons, that you are responsible. There is a consequence to your action. You sign something, if you're a man of your word, then you've got to follow through with it. So I think that was a wonderful way of doing it, and it worked in the long run. I'm sure after the first maybe the first 7 games, you were sort of wondering, but it really came to fruition very well. So Ed and Joe, let's start your 28-game journey to the Class C crown. I will go over and explain what happened in the games, and then you give the details, and if there was nothing to say, then we'll move on to the next one, all right? Sure. All right, so game 1. The Warriors defeat St. Raphael Academy by an impressive 65-50 margin in an injury-fun contest, with Joe Handy registering his first of many double-doubles with 12 points and 10 rebounds.
It was a great way to start the season.
Sure.
You know, we're beating a Class A team, and St. Ray's is always a good squad, and it was just good to get off on the right foot.
Sure. And as you said, there's no three-point shots. I think that happened the following year. No time clocks either.
No shot clock either.
So little different at that point in time. And you saw on the opposite, wearing the purple and gold, my alma mater, was a CF native, Ricky Ford, on the other team.
Right. Lifelong friend, classmate. 9th grade, he went on to St. Ray's, and came into city rivals, right? So we actually get out there and we played, but we still meet at the community center. And there was a lot of talking back and forth, and they were similar to us. They were built similar to us as far as types of team. They were a little faster into God because they had Ricky Ford and Boat Williams, but we knew we could beat them. So not that we were overconfident, but we knew we could compete as a C2 team against an A2 team, and we did.
Okay.
At the end of that game, it was kind of funny because Ricky asked me if he could get a ride back to Central Falls on our bus. I said, sure.
Oh, really?
We'll give you a ride
Why
back.
not, right?
Why not?
Yes, I like that. So game 2, Central Falls routs Toman 69-55 in the semifinals of the inaugural Pawtucket Tip-Off Classic, with 4 Warriors denting double digits. Pucci Nunez tallies 16 points, John Santos 14, Jeff Disatel, 13 points and 13 rebounds, and Joe Handy, 11 points and 15 boards.
It was a great game. We had everybody there, and everything was.
For the first 2 games you did,
yeah,
right?
Yep. Yeah. And everything was working good. Yep.
And you had told me before the show that the inaugural Tip-Off Classic, that was something that you and the late Dennis Lynch Jr., St. Raphael's coach, sort of put together. Is that correct?
You're right. I had known Dennis for quite a while, going back to our playing days.
Yeah.
When he was at St. Ray's and I was at Cumberland. And, we saw each other a lot at John Street. And when he got the St. Ray's job, I got the Central Florida job. We were trying to figure out a way to get a couple extra games in, at the beginning of the season. And that's how we came up with the, back then it was called the Pawtucket Tip-Off Tournament.
Classic, yeah.
Tip-Off Classic, yeah.
And so it was Toman and what must have been Shea and Saints and Central Falls, right from the valley, right next to each other.
Yeah.
All right, and then game 3, St. Raphael comes back and gives a little revenge as he stunned the Warriors 61-54, led by Rob Williams with 20 points and CF native Ricky Ford with 18. Joe?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't want to lose that game. Like I said, it was an inner-city rivalry, and Ricky would definitely do his talking. But yeah, no, it was okay. I mean, they played well. They beat us. I don't think we played particularly well that game.
Yeah, he shot 34% from the field.
Yeah.
That wasn't good.
Right.
And Dizitel and Nunez were held to 10 points each. Joe, you had 19 points.
They had a good team, and we had a bad night. A combination of the two.
Yeah, that's usually a loss when it happens like that. All right, so game 4, Providence Central romps past an overmatched Warrior quintet to the tune of 83-53, with center Joe Handy and forward John Santos missing the game for, as it says in the Times, undisclosed reasons. So Ed, what was the purpose of playing a dominant Class A team like Central so early in the season? I would think maybe that would hurt the team's confidence.
Well, my thinking was we were a good team, and the only way we were going to get better was to play against better competition. So I went out and I would talk to the coaches from Central, from Hope, and I would try to set those kind of games up because I wanted to get us prepared for the regular season. So when the regular season came around, we were going to be ready to go. We may have lost that game, but in the long run, I think it paid off for us. We learned.
Okay. So, Ed, you and your older brother, John McVeigh, made your coaching debuts in the 1986-87 campaigns, with John having the reins at Cumberland. So, Game 5, the Clippers drubbed your Warriors 79-65 in a non-league affair.
I don't know if we were missing anyone for that game, but...
Nunez was suspended indefinitely.
Yeah, I could have used him that game. But again, my brother had a very good team. He was Class A. So, obviously, it's a very competitive relationship between my brother and myself.
Sure, of course. And then you told me the story beforehand about a technical that your brother got that was really not deserved.
Well, the game was going on, and there was a call that I thought should have gone our way. It didn't go our way. So I was having a word or two with the official, and I guess he didn't like what I said, but the official thought that it was my brother that made the comment to him, because I guess he thought we sounded alike. So he called a technical on John, which was fine with me.
Yeah, of course, not fine with John.
No, it wasn't fine with him, but...
I'm sure you heard about it after the game, right?
I did, but I never admitted to it.
All right, so Game 6 in a high-scoring romp, Central Falls steamrolls Shea 89-72 behind the 1-2 scoring punch of Jess Disitel's 34 points, and surprisingly, Paul Poulin also has 30 points.
Again, like I said, it was one of those nights where you'd say to yourself, where did Paul get those points? But he's always around the ball, and if he had a shot, he's going to put it in.
Okay.
I don't know what his percentage was for the season, but my guess was pretty high.
Yeah, and Joe, you were out 6, and John Santos was relegated to the JV team due to discipline. I'd like that, rather than make him show up, play with the JV, and then sit on the bench for the rest of the time. Is that correct? Is that what you did?
That's what I did. The idea just crossed my mind before the game. I said, what am I going to do with him? I said, let's make him play the JV game tonight. Yeah. At least he'll get some kind of workout in.
So you were missing Nunez because he was suspended, and then Joe was out sick, and Santos didn't play in the varsity, and you still would be able to go over and beat Shea 89-72. Yeah. That must have been important, that these guys, knowing that you don't need them in order to win the game. Was that important? A nice little life lesson again?
I think it's very important. That way they learn that it doesn't matter whether you were the best player on the team or the last guy on the bench. You're all going to get treated the same way. If you don't follow the rules, you don't play.
Yeah. And Joe, was
Yeah,
that
just
clear?
that just shows our depth. We've had that depth all year, and we started seeing it. Not having those three in the lineup, myself included, that was against a Class 2 B team, Shea, with
Yeah.
a strong team, being led by Walter Bunky Gonzalez.
Yeah, high scoring game too. All right, and go ahead.
And anytime you go to play at Shea, it's not a fun night.
Because of it was,
That gym is just,
it's a bandbox. Yeah.
it's very difficult.
Yeah, I bet it was. Now in Game 7, in the second installment of Brother versus Brother, Ed evens the match with John as CF nips Cumberland 58-55 in a Cumberland-Lincoln Boys and Girls Club Holiday Tournament semifinal encounter. Now Joe, tell us about the pregame speech that Coach McVeigh must have given you with he's got a second chance to go over and beat his brother.
That pregame speech actually started after we lost him the first time, so he didn't want that to happen again. So, that was very clear. I'm not losing to my brother.
Okay.
Guys, we got to pull it together. We got to play better, and we did. Obviously, in the results, to come back and turn that game around like we did.
And beat him in a close game. Joe, you had 22 points. Disatel has 17 points, and John Santos held the high-scoring Jeff Jarry to 14 points after he had 36 points in the previous game in that tournament.
Well, Santos had a way of disrupting people. They just get in their way, basically, and they couldn't do what they wanted.
Yeah.
Even though Jerry had size on him, but
Jerry was a big kid, good shooter, great player.
Led the Valley in scoring that year.
Yeah.
Very good. A lot of respect for him.
All right, so Game 8, Central Falls edges Lincoln 68-65 in overtime to capture the Cumberland-Lincoln Boys and Girls Club Holiday Tournament crown.
that was a great feeling. I wish it wouldn't have had to go to overtime, but a win was a win, and I'm glad that we, got that Christmas tournament, championship.
Sure, yeah, 2 close games. So
Yeah.
that must have been significant for morale also, because now you're ready to get into the Class Cs, and now you're on a 2 or 3 game winning streak at that point. Disatel has 19 points, Santos has 16. Joe, you went over and grabbed the MVP award, and you chipped in with 12. And that once again, Class A teams against the Class C Central Falls.
Yep, and that game might have been at Lincoln, wasn't it?
It was at the Lincoln. Yeah,
It was at Lincoln also, so that meant even a little bit more to us. But now we had to settle down. We had to get ready for the regular season.
Right.
Yeah.
But you're going in there with a 3-game win streak. You went 5-3 in the non-league, and the ones that you lost to were Class A teams. So now Game 9, nothing but Class C games remaining, as I said. CF survives a near disastrous finish to nip Bristol 52-50 on the Colts' home court, with Joe Handy notching another double-double with 14 points and 15 rebounds.
And Bristol had one of the best coaches that I consider at any level in the state of Rhode Island, Dom Raiola. And Dom had every trick in the book ready for us.
Okay.
There was no shot clock, so Dom, he knew that we wanted to run. He's slowing the ball down. He's even using little tricks like the wall behind the basket.
Yeah, tell me about what happened after halftime.
Well, they were shooting at that side
So
of
tell me about it. Go ahead.
that side of the court in the first half, and there was a wall behind the basket. We came out for the second half, and the wall, the curtain, had disappeared. They didn't want us to have a backdrop to look at when we were shooting.
Okay.
When I asked him about it, he said he didn't know. I said, well, just find out whoever took it away and tell them to put it back.
And now you shot 8 of 22 from the charity stripe. Was that one of your weaknesses in the team?
It wasn't supposed to be, but that really bothered me. I pride myself on being a pretty good foul shooter, and we definitely practiced every single day. And you go 8 for 22, that was just, that's not acceptable.
No, absolutely not. Yeah. And did Coach go over and make you shoot like 100 free throws after every practice?
We shot free throws when we were tired. After we ran, we shot. We shot throughout the day in practice. I was guilty. I was probably one of the worst free throw shooters we had. To be honest with you.
All right. So Game 10, the Warriors win in a laugher, burying North Smithfield 96-43 with 6 Warriors. All denting double digits in that game.
Well, I
So
thought-
it must have been, Joe, was it exciting to try to get to 100 points in that game? I mean, triple figures is something that, every player wants to have happen.
It was clear that we were not going to score 100 points. Our coaches said we're not that team. We're good sports. So we knew that if we were leading, we were going to be sitting in the fourth quarter. And we never, in those games, I never played a fourth quarter. Jeff probably never played a quarter. Probably Israel as well. So we just understood it wasn't going to happen. And we get in the 90s, but that was about it.
Okay.
I'd let them know that you didn't want to be the guy that scored that 100 point. You didn't want to be him.
Good. I like that, Ed. Yeah. So now game 11, Central Falls waltzed to its third Class C victory, 82-43. You were blowing these Class C teams out. Over Warren with CeCe Sousa having a very strong performance. That must have been very helpful to you, right? I mean, good for your morale and the rest.
Well, it was showing that, again, as Joe said, that, we had the depth. That, even though he may be at sixth man, he's capable of having a big night anytime. And I think we're starting to hit on all cylinders by this point.
Yeah, and your starting six are all over 6 feet tall also,
Yep.
right? So
Yep.
that doesn't hurt. All right, so game 12, without an ailing 6'4" center Joe Handy, the Warriors whipped Situate 84-49 behind Jeff Disatel's 18 points and 10 rebounds, Israel Nunez's with 17 points and 6 assists, and John Santos with 14 points and 6 block shots.
Yeah, I don't think you get much better balance than that, all the way across the board. It was just a good team effort.
Yeah, and you were out a couple of games during that
Yeah.
season, Joe, with just different ailments. Or?
Yeah, I was never out for disciplinary reasons. That was never the case. Out of school,
Yep.
sick or something to that matter. But yeah, no.
And even back then, if you did not go to school, even with the interscholastic, you cannot play the game, right? Okay. So game 13, so now you're 4-0 in Class C. You got a 7-game winning streak, and Central Falls, you're up 69-55 with only 5:06 left in the game at Portsmouth. You drop an overtime heartbreaker to Portsmouth, 85-84 for your first Class C loss of the season.
That was tough. I mean, it was tough. It was a tough night. We got there. We were getting off the bus. They were throwing snowballs at us, so we knew we were in for a tough night.
And you're out there with your red shirts, shirt and tie, nice pants, nice shoes, and so
Not throwing anything back either.
yeah, okay. And what was your opinion of that? Now, when you come up there, they're probably just banging it off the windows, right?
I mean, we're from Central Falls, so I mean, obviously,
You're tough.
it wasn't bothering us to a point where it was going to affect the way we played. We still going to win there, try to do what we had to do. They outplayed us that day. We had a game plan. Coach had a game plan. We were clearing out for Israel, and he was very effective. And we left them in the game.
Yeah. Well, and you got outscored 22-8 in the final 5 minutes.
Yeah, well, it was just some terrible turnovers there in the fourth quarter. And even then, as bad as we played in that fourth quarter, we still had a chance to win it. We had a 1-on-1 that we did not hit, and then we went into overtime and lost the game.
Yeah, and Joe, you had 15 points and 24 rebounds. Nunes had 23 points, and Disatel had 21 points. So, your big three certainly came up as far as scoring is concerned. Now, game 14, the Warriors rebound from their first Class C loss as all 5 starters notched double figures in a tough 70-65 triumph over Mount St. Charles, in spite of a game-high 33 points from the Mounties' 6'2", 195-pound sturdy guard, Brian Goudreau, who hit 17 of 19 from the charity stripe.
When you're playing up at Mount St. Charles back in their old gym, that was a difficult place to play.
How
It was
so?
long and narrow, and there really wasn't any backdrop behind either basket.
No.
So it took some getting used to, but that Goodrow, he was tough. Not much we could do with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that name jumps out at me. He was a strong forward.
So he must have been taking it to the hoop a number of times,
He was,
right?
and obviously we're following him.
Yep.
I think I was in foul trouble in that game as well, but he would hit his free throws. The difference was the kid could shoot, and he would knock down those free throws. But he was strong. He was a moose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you still won. So
Yeah.
that, again, another good one for the morale there, Ed, right?
Yep.
All right, so Ed and Joe, through the first 14 games of the 86-87 campaign, the Warriors had all 5 starters in double figures, with leader Jeff Disatel at 15.1 points per game, Joe, you had 14.4. Santos and Nunez had 13.6 each, and Paul Poulin with a 10.5 average. Balanced scoring. I mean, it doesn't get any better than
it
that.
shows the balanced scoring. But I also want to interject and add the fact that a lot of the players on our team that year, they could have had numbers or stats that were a lot higher, but they weren't able to because I had them sitting on the bench for sometimes a lot of the second half. So you have to take it for what it's worth. They could have scored more, they could have done more, but we didn't need it.
Yeah.
We just needed to win.
And you understood that, Joe, and the teams also?
we-
At this point in time, you guys are moving forward really well.
Yeah, no player wants to come out of the game. I didn't want to come out. No, Jeff didn't want. We didn't want to come out of the game, but we understood what he's doing, and sportsmanship was important to us.
Sure. Game 15, Central Fall rolls to a 77-32 victory over winless Davies Vocational. Was Laverne coaching at that point in time?
Yep.
He
Yes.
was.
They were very weak that year.
Very weak. Yeah, that's surprising.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we move on to game 16. The C2 Warriors knock off previously undefeated Smithfield, the C1 leaders, 78-72 behind the stellar performances of Joe Handy with 20 points, 16 rebounds, and 4 block shots. You get close to that triple-double, Joe. Jeff Dissentel, 17 points and 7 caroms, and John Santos with 70 points and 4 steals. Just solid play.
Right, and that was a good team we beat. Smithfield
Yeah.
was a very good team.
Yeah.
You know, they were undefeated at that point.
Yes, they were.
Yep, and I believe that was at Smithfield too, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yep, so that made for a nice bus ride home.
Yeah. Well, Joe, talk about your rebounding prowess, because we're seeing as we get later into the games and into the season, your rebounding numbers are just going astounding.
I always had a knack for the ball, and I've always, since being a young kid going to basketball camps, listening to good coaches tell you, hey, listen, shot comes off on the left, 90% of the time it's going to come off on the right? So I've always positioned myself well. I was very long. I tip, control it. And I had an uncle that used to tell me all the time, he's like, when I see you play outside of your high school games, you're aggressive, you're grabbing rebounds, you're doing these things. Why aren't you doing this in the games? And it started clicking, hearing it from the coach. And, my uncle, and I'm like, you know what?
Now, who's Uncle who?
My Uncle Richard.
Okay.
He was, he was at every one of my games. I didn't have a lot of parent participation. I think my mom came to my state championship game. She was sickly her whole life. My uncle was there for me all the time. So yeah, he used to tell me that, put it in my head, and I started listening. And it's funny how when you start listening to the little things that they're telling you, and then a former alumni would come in and they would talk to you and they give you hints and things like that. And I just, I felt it. I actually felt it coming along, and I was becoming a better rebounder.
Good. And you were open to that. That was important. Was that one of Joe's assets also, that you can tell him something and sort of give him some constructive criticism and he'd take it well, and then you'd see it on the court the next day in practice?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And Joe had the long arms too, which helped him a lot. And I was always kidding around with him. I'd sometimes, Joe, you get so many rebounds. Are you missing shots on purpose so you can get your own rebound?
I won't confirm nor deny that.
We could laugh about that. It was always funny. I knew the other team wasn't going to get it, so sometimes I think Joe was just doing that to get extra rebounds.
Oh, I wasn't big. I wasn't physically big, but I was tall, had the length, and there was times when I get up to the backboard just to get position and reposition myself. I'm not going to tell you I didn't.
Yeah.
I'm
Just
not
a
gonna say,
smart ball player, that's
Yeah.
all. That's
He
smart.
knew what he was doing.
That helps his stats, but he wasn't all about stats. So game 17, Central survives the snow-covered roads of Narragansett and comes home with a 71-55 win behind another monster game from your 6'4" center, Joe Handy, who pours in a season-high 27 points.
That was a good game, because the long ride down there to Narragansett, and it was a snowy night, and they had a good team. Now, I didn't know at that point that we were going to see them again at the Civic Center,
Yeah.
but I knew they had a good team. It was a good win.
Joe, 27 points? Just came to you?
It was my night. We all had those nights.
Yeah.
It was my night. We never checked the scorebook. We see it after the fact. We'd see it in a newspaper, but we wouldn't go look for it. I always was concerned how many rebounds I got.
Okay.
But it was one of the highlights for me was knowing that Tom Pender's son was playing on the team Narragansett. So it was always nice to know that there was a
A college coach
the
looking.
college coach probably looking over the shoulder, yeah.
Yeah, Disotell adds 16, Poulin 14, Santos 13. You got 4 guys in double figures, and I'm sure Pucci was going over and dishing out the assists anyways. Game 18, the Warriors accomplish an ugly win, according to you, Coach Ed McVeigh, with a 64-54 victory over Burrillville as Jeff Disotell takes the game's laurels with 24 points.
I think we had a lot of turnovers that night, and even though we won by 20, I don't think the game, it shouldn't have been that close. It was just one of those things, but a win was a win, and it was up at Burrillville.
Yeah, tough crowd.
They're the only school, I think, that still had the half-moon backboards at that point.
Oh, okay.
So that took a little adjustment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, Joe has another double-double, 12 points, 13 rebounds. I think he ended up with 12 double-doubles throughout the season, not even counting the triple-doubles that you had. So game 19, Joe Handy racks up what the Pawtucket Times called an unusual triple-double. Triple-doubles were not prevalent in 1986-87. Joe went over and had 18 points, 27 rebounds, and 10 block shots to lead Central Falls to, again, 72-38 drubbing of Bristol. No more disastrous closes at the end with Bristol.
Well, that's the hard way to get the triple-double, but it was easy for Joe. Bristol, at that point, Dom didn't use all of his tricks on us.
Okay.
And we knew what we were in for, so we were ready for him, and we did our job.
Yeah, and just to tell, once again, 16 points, 13 boards. Joe, I mean, he's right next to you. I see him at a couple of your games that I went to your games this year. Just a good partnership between you and Jeff, right?
Yeah, well, Jeff, Cece, Steve Afonso, I mean, we all grew up together. We all grew up, played CYO ball together.
Holy Trinity?
Yeah, Holy
Absolutely.
Trinity. Matter of fact, I was a year ahead of them, so there was a year that they all won a state championship together in CYO for Ralph Holden.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so we all came through the community center. We all came through Holy Trinity CYO. We had great mentors. Ralph Holden, I'd like to shout out to Ralph. Ralph was very important to us.
Absolutely.
And I'm
So
sure
many
they can
people have
attest
said
to it, that he had us fundamentally sound when we got to high school. So
Yeah, talk about overcoming adversity with him. Game 20, without the services of Joe Handy, the Warriors rally from a 27-12 deficit, second period, to overcome Coach George Jake's Pontigansett quintet 68-60 and improve to 11-1 in Class C action and 16-4 overall. Ed?
Well, that was up at Pontigansett, and we got off to a nice cold start.
Yeah,
Luckily, we stayed with it. We didn't have Joe that night, but we managed to do what we had to do.
Pull one out over Jake's, right?
Yeah. And George is always
He was a classic
anytime
one.
you can win at Pontigansett against a good coach like George Jakes, I'll take that win any day.
Yeah. Disotell moves to center in Joe's absence, scores 24 points, hits 9 of 13 from the floor, snares 7 rebounds, and Nunez now starts going over. I guess the guys underneath are now catching the balls that he's throwing to him. Comes up with 16 assists, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everything is just moving so well for you now there, Ed, right? So game 21, we're getting close to the end of the season. Central Falls delivers a dominating 92-68 victory over Warren behind outstanding performances from Paul Poulin, 18 points, 9 of 13 shooting, 11 rebounds. Joe Handy, 21 points, 11 boards, 5 block shots. Point guard Pucci tallies 16 points, dishes out 14 assists. Disotell has 12 points and 12 caroms, and Cece Sousa has 16 points in the starting role.
It's another one of those games where we just get great contributions from just about everybody.
Yeah. And what was the atmosphere at the Central Falls gym when you were playing the home games?
Oh,
Were they starting to roll with you guys too?
That place was rocking.
Was it?
yeah, we packed that gym every home game. They literally broke the bleachers one game. That's how many fans we had banging on the bleachers. And
Really?
Oh yeah, it was really
Electric?
It was electric.
Neat.
That's how we decided to start calling it the Warrior Dome then.
Yeah.
Like it. That's right.
Yeah.
Game 22 in a Class C title-clinching victory in front of a raucous home crowd, as you say there. Sweet revenge arrives in a 92-52 romp of Portsmouth, who handed you your only Class C loss of the season. Nunez tallied a game-high 31 points, collected 12 steals, and just missed a triple-double with 9 assists, while Joe, you recorded another triple-double with 28 points, an astounding 29 rebounds, and 10 block shots. What were those two? Talk about those two players.
Well, I mean, that game just felt good because they were the ones that had tarnished our record.
Yeah.
We needed to deliver a message to them that, you know, we may have had an off game against you down at Portsmouth, but, you know, we're the real deal and we're here and you're going to get everything tonight.
And you probably had a whole, I mean, you probably could have easily scored 100 points in that game, right?
I can guarantee that.
Digital has another quiet double-double with 12 points and 13 rebounds. Talk about Nunez in that game there. Was he just unconscious?
It was, yeah, he was playing, he kept the tempo, we pushed the ball, we wanted to make sure we ran him into the floor, we didn't give him a break. We wanted to win that game. The first loss hurt us as players. I know it hurt coach as well, but we didn't want to lose. We thought we were going to go undefeated. Getting into that game, we showed them. You know, we're at home, the place is packed, like you said, it's electric, and there was no way they were going to beat us. They had a 6'5" Corey Cloud, big presence. I mean, very big kid. Okay. And he go up with a head fake, and I was getting him in foul trouble, so he rode the pine a little bit. Yeah.
All right, so we're going to move forward. We're going to pass the last two games where you beat Davies with all your reserves playing, 60-25, and the last game you achieved 20 victories with a big win over Narragansett, with Nunez going over and getting his first double-double. So let's go over and move on to the quarterfinals. So Ed, Central Falls received a bye into the Class C quarterfinals. How did you prepare the Warriors for the upcoming state tournament where you're going to be playing at a bigger court at CCRI Lincoln?
Well, first I told them after we had gotten the 20 victories that to me that was a milestone psychologically, and because that 20 wins in a season
doesn't happen often.
You know, it's kind of unheard of.
Yes.
But I knew, so now that season is over. Regular season's over, and we're going to start concentrating on the playoffs. Everybody's got the same record. So, you know, we'd have our scrimmages, we'd bring in, because we had a big court. We had a beautiful court. And we'd get teams like St. Ray's that would come over because, you know, they didn't want to practice on their small court. So they'd come over and we'd scrimmage them back and forth. So it was good for both of us, and that way we'd be ready when we hit CCRI.
All right, and so the quarterfinals, as we said, CCRI Lincoln. Central Falls needed a 31-point fourth quarter explosion to subdue Bristol by a 61-39 margin. So Ed, what did you say to the team after they scored only 6 points in the third quarter?
I think we were coasting a little bit too much. You know,
what does that mean?
We weren't playing our game. We weren't going at it 100% like we usually do.
Right, because you already drubbed them, you know, significantly.
Right, you know, we had already beaten
around.
them twice, and I think they were taking it for granted that this is just going to be another easy game. But it's the playoffs. There are no easy games.
Yeah, and one and done also, right?
So, you know, I had to give them a little wake-up speech and get them fired up a little bit, and I guess it worked.
Yeah. Would you agree with Coach that you guys thought you were just going to cruise through this? You didn't have to worry about it?
Yeah, and you know what, we identified early on that, like he said, that Coach, you know, had some things up his sleeve, and he was playing a box and one on me, and I'm a post player, so you really don't know you're being played box and one because you got someone in front of you, someone in back of you, and it took us a couple quarters for me to talk to Coach, say I'm popping out. Yeah. And I popped out, we put Desitel down, and we found, they had a player named Miko Tam, and he followed me out. So we knew at that point. So Coach had made some adjustments. Obviously, the 31-point explosion had a lot to do with the adjustments he made, sure. And they pulled out of that box and won.
All right, you move on to the semifinals, again at CCRI Lincoln, and you shade the pesky Portsmouth, 69-67 in an overtime thriller, as Joe Handy scores 6 of the CF 10 points in the extra session, while hitting a perfect 4 of 4 from the charity stripe.
Well, that game wasn't for the faint of heart. That was a tough game.
Yeah, I guess it was, right?
Yeah, and we're lucky we get out of there with a win.
Yeah, Nunez has 21 points, Disatel 16, Poulin 14, and Joe had 12. So Ed, now tell us about the press conference prior to the championship game, which is going to be at the Civic Center. Exactly what you predicted way back in early December.
Well, it was great because we had to go down there as myself, my assistant Kevin, Joe, and Jeff Desertel. We went down there for the press conference. And I was a little annoyed because I found out that the Class A and Class B games were going to be televised, but the Class C games were not going to be televised. So when it was my turn to get up and say a few words, I mentioned the fact that, we're not second-class citizens. My team is just as good as any other team here in the state of Rhode Island. And I thought that we should have been on television also. And then the coach from Rogers High School, John Diaz, who had seen my team play a couple of times because he was scouting Class A, when he got up, he admitted, he said, I've seen Ed's team play, and they're just as good as any Class A team, and he's right.
Yeah.
They should be on TV.
All right, so now you're at the Civic Center for the Class C final. You Central Falls captured its first ever state Class C hoop crown, beating Narragansett for the third time in the season in a 64-57 foul-filled tilt. Pucci Nunez, the tournament's MVP, led the Warriors with 18 points and shot 4 of 5 from the line in the closing seconds to go over and close out the win and walk away with a crown.
That was just a great day. I was very proud. I told the kids before the game, all the pride, I think the entire city of Central Falls had developed a lot of pride in our team and in the city for what we were doing. But I mentioned to the kids, as much as we want to win this for the city of Central Falls, I want to win it more for them, because they're the ones that have done the work, they're the ones that have put in the time, and they're the ones that can come back and show their kids someday, that banner up on the wall, state championship banner, I did that. And when we accomplished that, it was just a great, great feeling.
Yeah. Joe had 10 points, 14 rebounds, Disatel 18 points, 6 caroms, ended the season with a 14-game win streak. You weren't able to cut down the nets. Right? Class B, Class A, cut down the nets.
They did it for us. They gave us the nets, and we cut them up into pieces, and everybody on the team got a piece.
Yeah, so. But you weren't able to.
No.
And real quickly, someone from the police department contacted you at the end of the game?
Well, no, they let me know before. They said, when you win the state championship, because they knew we were going to win, they said, have the bus stop at the Pawtucket line, and we're going to send a couple of police cars out there for you. So they sent 2 police cruisers with the lights and the sirens flashing, one in front, one in back, and they took us on a tour of the entire city with the sirens blowing and everybody yelling out the windows. And
chills. I get chills right now.
Yeah, just thinking of that.
Now, you got your jacket. We've only got like 2 minutes left, so you got jackets on that time, right? And just showed up to the camera. Show Dick there. Neat. You are a collector, Ed, aren't you, huh? You got the sweaters and the jackets.
I got to tell you, my wife's not happy about it. But
Excellent. So, Ed and Joe, we have 1 minute remaining in the show. It blew by as always. What is your favorite memory of the Central Falls 1987 schoolboy basketball championship season? Let's start with you, Coach.
Just the camaraderie with these guys. I mean, even to this day, when I see any of them, like Joe, and how proud I am of what he's doing now, and what we did for the city. There'd be a lot of great players that had come through the city of Central Falls, but they had never won a state championship. And to be able to do that, to bring that back and put that banner up on the wall, that meant everything to me.
Joe?
Being able to do it with the kids that you grew up with, playing every day, it was magical for us. We had a lot of pride. A lot of us didn't have dads in our lives. So we really, like I said, we grew up in the community center, CYO, and then obviously to our road to high school where we were able to win that championship. And it's something to this day, going back coaching there, I look up at that banner and I tell the kids about it. So everybody knows about the 87 state championship team for sure.
And it was a great story too, really a great story all the way through. So Ed and Joe, thank you for sharing your insights and memories of the 1987 Central Falls Schoolboy Basketball Championship campaign. Great job, guys.
Thank you for having us, and thank you for the job that you do here.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Thank you
I love what I do and love having the stories to be told, so thank you for that.
Thank you.
I'm Bill Mulholland for Good Sports Classics. Good night.